Okay, in that first tutorial we were just looking at how we could use use our TouchOSC device with Max MSP using the UDP receive, and as you realise, we were just getting literally the raw routing data through, and then we could route it out and start using it in a way that we wanted to. Another way of using your TouchOSC device is to actually map your different faders and buttons, etc., through Osculator into into Max MSP, and then through that out to another external device using MIDI. So the first thing we want to do is just have a look at how this works. Now, this patch I've cleaned up a little bit. I've just literally just got a simple MIDI in here, and then a MIDI pass, which obviously is passing the data. In other words, it's separating out all the MIDI bits into their various things. I've just literally hacked this off the help file. So you've got in the first output note on and off, second output poly pressure, third output control change, program change, after touch, pitch bend, MIDI channel. So all these things that come in through this MIDI in object are then separated out into their various bits, and that's what we want to be able to do with our OSC device. Now we set our OSC device up, and as you know, you can just literally create your own encoders, your own pages to be however you want them to be. Really, really powerful and customizable bit of software, lots of fun. So the first thing we need to do is to get Osculator working and make sure that we've got this talking to our MIDI device. Now, in terms of Osculator talking to TouchOSC device, remember we set it up last time. We used opened our network preferences, found out what the IP address of the machine was that we wanted to use. Once we had that, we could go into the documentation. We'll show that setup thing. We could go to the OSC page, and in here make sure that this IP address here matches the one that you have in your device. So I'd need to set that number to 192.168.0.6, and then I'd have my TouchOSC connected by Wi-Fi through to my device, my computer. So once I'd done that, basically I could then double click on that arrow, which will take me to the next page. And on the next page I'll make sure that TouchOSC was enabled, but my host was set to the same address as here, which it does automatically if it's set to the other page. But my outgoing port set to 8,000, my incoming port is set to 9,000, and you don't have to worry about your local IP address. Okay, so we've done all that, that's good. Now let's go over to this little TouchOSC patch, which is available to you as well. Now, it's locked up, and if I click on my MIDI in, double click, I can see all the different versions of MIDI in I've got. I've got my Akai MPD24 attached to my Mac at the moment, so that's why they've come up. And you can also see that I've got the IAC driver, and I've got Max MSP 1 and 2. So the next thing I'm going to do is open Osculator. Now you'll notice that when you open it, it comes up routing stop, port 8,000 already in use, and that's because on this patch, because it's got both bits, you'll notice that you've got 8,000 set up there. So you just need to get rid of that conflict. Now if I hit start, it's just running and it's not doing anything else. Jolly good. Okay, back to here. Now what will happen is that as I touch this device, as I touch my faders, Osculator starts logging them as they haven't got an event yet, but certainly logging the fact that they're happening and giving the correct routing information about each one in terms of its path. We're not getting anything happening on our screen here at the moment. So the first thing we want to do is double click on our MIDI in now, and you'll notice that added to all these things we have Osculator out. Excellent. So we click on that, and now we've got our Osculator out stuff coming from here and going down to our MIDI pass. We're still not seeing anything happening, and that's because I haven't actually created an event type for this. Now, on the Beat Machine layout, I've got a couple of faders on this first page and a number of sort of MPC type pads. So I'm going to set those up to do different things and use them to control another host device such as Ableton in this case. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the event type here for fader 1. I'm going to pick MIDI continuous controllers. So in other words, controllers that pick up data and have a range of between 0 and 127, and they're very useful to obviously control filters and volumes and pans, etc. So I've picked that MIDI CC as the event type, and here I'm going to pick a controller. Now, just in all MIDI instances, the controllers go from 0 to 127. So if I pick this up as controller 1, then as I start to move this, you'll see that in the control change data here, 1 is now giving me a value, and it's going from 0 to 127. You'll also notice up this end it says 1 for the MIDI channel. That is set here, so we don't need to worry about that. We're just going to set on channel 1. So that's set up that MIDI CC for that fader to work on that one. Now the second one, I'm going to do another MIDI CC controller, and this one I'll set up to 2. So now I've got 2. You can see the control change number. The controller number is there, and the value is on the right. So, and I can use these two together in some sort of toggly way, and you can see them sort of bouncing between each other as I move them. For the MPD pads, I think I'm going to turn those into MIDI notes, just for the sake of this tutorial. So I've got push 1, 2 and 3 here. So if I pick my event type and pick MIDI note, let's stick that on there, and then just choose MIDI note, which in this case, this is, sorry about that. I'm going to put that as C3, MIDI note. We'll get a little bit bluesy. D sharp 3 in flat, and then another MIDI note, and pick F3. Okay. So now, when you see these, you can see that MIDI notes are changing. Once again, this first number is the MIDI value. C3 happens to equal 60, D sharp 3 equals 63, and F3 equals 65. And then here is the value, and the way these are working would be like notes that are either playing full or off. So you've got a note on full value of 127, or which is exactly the same as full level on your MPD if you've got something like that. Okay, oh, and suddenly the oscillator stopped because I haven't bought it either. And, I think it's worth money, but like all these things, it's kind of getting around to it. And every time you think, oh yeah, I should do that, you're actually broke. So just do not yet. And then there we go, this will start working again. Okay, so now I've got these two things and they're working marvellously. Now, I want to now get this stuff out of Max and use it with something else. So what I want to do is use two objects that allow me to do that. Now, the first one I'm going to use is a thing called CTL out. CTL out is a continuous controller object which allow me to send it to any of the MIDI outputs that I have. And if I click on it and double click on it, you'll see that I've got a number of MIDI outputs. I don't want to send it back to Osculator, so I want to send it out obviously MIDI Max MSP bus. And then if I look at my inputs, I can see that number 1 is controller value and number 2 is controller number. So it just so happens that this is slightly about face. So controller number wants to go to that one, and then controller value wants to go to that one. So they've just crossed over. So now when I start using these, I'm going to get the different controller values for each of the controller numbers. And a similar thing for my note on and off. And this time I can just use a note out object. The note out object, once again, double click on it, has a number of buses. We're going to send it from Max MSP1. And if I click on this, then the first output is the pitch. As we know, that's on that side. That's my MIDI note. And then on the other side, I can put my velocity. Velocity, as we know, is also just going to be on or off, full value or 0. So now that I've done that, I can now see, I can actually prove that it's working because I can double click on this and pick the audio unit synth that comes with Apple. I'll put it on there and then hit these buttons. And these 3 notes that I'm playing. So we can see that that's working. But I don't want to just use the internal synth. I want to be able to use the power of Ableton with this little project. So I'm going to double click on this and pick Max MSP1. Okay, so once I've done this, of course, I can, in Osculator, I can save it as setup. So you don't have to keep doing this every time. You can have different setups for different pages or different TouchOSC, configurations that you create. So once I've done that, anyway, so enough of that yakking. I'll just go over to Ableton. And here the basic setup as it's going. So I'm just going to put something onto the what was I looking at? Oh, okay. So I've just got a simpler device which I'm going to chuck onto this MIDI channel. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. And now I just need, well, I don't need to do much actually to make it work. I can just hit this button and it's working already, and I haven't done anything. The reason for that being that if we look at this, it's looking here at MIDI from, and it's saying basically from all ins, so it's scouring any MIDI in to get the information. But if I click on that, I can actually pick Max MSP1, and then I'm going to get that information across from there. Okay, so that's that bit set up. Now, let's change that to the high pass filter. So I've got those bits set up like that, and then what I'm going to do now is just map my controller outs as well. So if I go into MIDI map mode, Command M, click on that, and wiggle my fader. You can see that it's come up here. And remember, continuous controller 1, which is what I set up in my Osculator. Dun, dun. Controller 1, set up for cut-off frequency, and there's the value. And then the same for this one, click on this one, fader 2, controller 2, resonant filter, that's done. So come out of my MIDI map mode. Anyway, there you go, as simple as that. So let's just set all that up, and obviously you can create as many of these as you like, and as I said, once you've done that, you can save that setup in your documents, and this is sort of beat machine. Don't you hate that when it happens? And I can set that up and save that. Now I've got that that I can open again without having to redo everything. And voila! You have your wonderful oscillator device mapping out to your any device you want. Okay, bye bye.